got Bitcoin falling below $20,000 at one point today as the crypto crush continues. The entire crypto space still dealing with major losses this year. BK, you had some thoughts on the correlation with technology, which has recently been pretty high.
Yeah, it's been very high, right? So Bitcoin correlation with the NASDAQ is somewhere around 60%. Ethereum correlation with the NASDAQ is somewhere around 70% for the rolling 30 days, last 30 days. So it's effectively acting, crypto in itself is acting like a 2x levered triple Q ETF. And I think there's some nuance here in that, one, Bitcoin itself is not a tech stock. It is definitively an alternative currency. It is digital gold, and you need it when your country destroys its currency like a lot of people are doing today, or a lot of governments are doing today. Ethereum, on the other hand, can be somewhat thought of as a tech stock because it is going to disrupt a lot of what tech stocks are doing today. And to the extent that it takes daily active users away from places like Twitter and Facebook and Google and all of that, I do think there is something to be said for Ethereum being a tech stock. But in general, I don't think crypto really bottoms until it breaks that correlation. Because otherwise, why do I need it except for levered play on NASDAQ?
I do agree with Brian Kelly on the first few points. And his understanding, or at least his explanation of Bitcoin and Ethereum, I think is spot on. And this is what I've said for a long time too. Bitcoin does not compete with Ethereum. Bitcoin is a store of value. It's a hedge against inflation. It's the one asset that people are turning to because they're afraid that their buying power is decreasing to zero, and they're afraid what the Fed and the central banks of their country is doing, right? So I think Brian got that perfectly. As for Ethereum, I do see it as more like a tech company, right? And that is why we're interested in alts, because these tech companies, or right now, projects, they're small, but they can one day become as big as Google or Microsoft. They're the future, right? So I think those points are spot on. As for the correlation to NASDAQ and the overall market as a whole, I think he simplified it, right? Like there is a correlation, but right now it just seems like Bitcoin and crypto's 2x or 3x leverage, and that's about it. Now, the reason why I think there is a correlation is because of the mindset of traders, the mindset of Wall Street. There's a lot of people out there that simply does not really believe in Bitcoin, or they see Bitcoin as a tech stock, and they're treating it as so. So that's why I think we're seeing that correlation. There's a lot of traders out there. They look at the economic data, the macro environment, right? And what they're used to is when there's a recession, they sell. They sell risk-on assets like tech, and they put Bitcoin in that category. They are just basically going off of what has happened before, and they're reacting to the same way that they have reacted before, right? So unfortunately, I do think there is that correlation right now, and I would love to see Bitcoin and Ethereum and the rest of the market decouple from the markets, right? I think that'll come in time as the market matures and gets bigger, but I don't believe that the bottom will not happen until decoupling happens. There's no way. Bitcoin found a bottom in previous cycles due to all the retail investors leaving, and who you have left are just the holders. That's how I found a bottom, and I do believe we're right there. So I don't agree with that point. But for those of you guys that like technicals, so this is looking at the 50 MA monthly moving average and the 100 MA. This is both monthly, right? The 50 moving average is about to cross above the 100 moving average, okay? The last two times this has happened, look at it, 2015, 2018, you can clearly see this is a great chart, and look at where RSI was at those times. Bottom, right around that 40 mark. Both times previously, and this doesn't happen very often because this is on the monthly scale, right? Both times, look at what has happened afterwards. And guess where we are? Right there. RSI, I know my camera's cutting it off, is really low, around that 40 mark. And the 50 moving moving average is about to cross the 100. So this is a pretty bullish sign, right? Pretty bullish chart that shows, yeah, we are in recovery, right? And this is the time to be buying. This is a historic buying zone for Bitcoin. So there's a lot of these out there. But again, near term, short term, you know, a lot of headwinds, macro stuff, Powell stuff that we have to worry about, right? But long term, this is where you buy, right? Yeah. It's a little bit lower than yesterday. You know, the thing is, it's a little bit lower than yesterday. You know what else is a little bit lower than yesterday? Bitcoin dominance. That's the surprising thing. Even though we get these up and downs, volatility, we get weakness, headwinds, all these stuff, right? But traditionally speaking, Bitcoin dominance always gains during those periods, every single time. Because what do people do when they get fearful? They turn to something that they're more familiar with, right? Like Bitcoin. But that's the weird thing about the situation now is Bitcoin dominance is still dropping, right? It could be because people are relying on stablecoins more, or simply because the holders that are showing the strength of Bitcoin, they're showing the strength with other crypto projects now, like Ethereum and others too, right? So the fear level from before, just not as prevalent as today, right? Interesting. And take a look at this. 829,000 Bitcoins removed from the exchanges within the last 2.5 years. Okay, 2.5 years. So we peaked right around 2020, somewhere around that COVID crash, around the March timeframe. And since then, with the up and downs of Bitcoin, the important thing is close to 1 million Bitcoin has been removed from exchanges. And that continues to go down. Down. The number of Bitcoins on exchanges equal to about 2018 level. And we continue, it's going to get scarcer. So keep that in mind, right? Bitcoin is only going to get more scarce going forward. It's not like gold where you could just double the gold that you have instantly with a big find. You can't do that with Bitcoin. It's already set in stone, right? So great things for Bitcoin. If you're looking to buy Bitcoin and crypto for the first time and you don't know where to get started, head over to CryptosRus.com and click on the best exchange guide. Within, you'll find a list of exchanges that I recommend and some that I use on a daily basis. If you are outside the US, I highly recommend looking at Binance.com first. They are the biggest exchange out there, supported in almost every single country. They have a fantastic fiat on-ramp, off-ramp system. They offer the most trading pairs and the lowest fees in the industry. You could also download a mobile app onto your Android and Apple device very easily. If you are in the US, I recommend taking a look at the sister company of Binance, Binance.us, which offers all of these things and more. So if you want to learn more, head over to CryptosRus.com or utilize the links in the description of this video.